Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm DDO's community manager, Kurt Oven, and I'll be with you for the next hour. Hanging out, having some fun, getting some news in, getting ready for the weekend. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, but I am also been playing a bunch of Vecna Unleashed, getting my sagas done, and picking up all the rewards, trying to get some decent loot for my characters. Hope you've been having fun with Vecna Unleashed. You can find out a whole lot about our latest expansion on DDO.com and pick it up through there in the DDO market. So, but if you're watching this channel, you already know Vecna Unleashed has been released because that happened a little while ago now. The 16th of August, to be precise. And we're getting ready for a follow-up patch. So that'll be next Wednesday. That's really probably one of the only bits of news I have for you for this show is we are targeting a patch for 61.0.2. That'll be for next Wednesday. I can't put up the release notes at the moment, but I can tell you what I've got for the most part here for next week's release. Now, I should mention before I get going into the preview notes for next week's patch that this is the state of them as of Friday. So it is not only possible but somewhat likely that things might not be in there yet, or perhaps something that is aimed to be in there won't end up making it through the process and actually getting released next week. But with that caveat, here's what we got set for next week's patch. 61.0.2 tentatively set for next Wednesday, August 30th. Probably one of the things most interesting to you is that we are upping the Heroic XP for the Heroic Vecna Unleashed Saga. The XP reward for all the difficulties is being increased. On normal, it's going up to 21k, hard 29k, elite 45k, and true elite 59k in terms of the XP stones that you get, or the XP you get awarded from completing the Heroic Vecna Unleashed Saga. The other bit that's going to be changing with the Saga is we're increasing the skill tomes. So the rewards that you get for the skill tomes that are +1 will now be +2. This is the Heroic. Remember, Heroic, not Epic, Vecna Unleashed Saga. Also, the optional chests in both rooms near the entrance in Vecna Unleashed are now properly going to unlock. The end chest and turn the page is going to be the correct chest. Right now it's one of the other quest chests. Still chance at named loot, just not the right named loot. Undead and Vecna Unleashed are no longer going to be healed by positive energy. Heard that one before. And Emerald Claw Warden, an enemy of my enemy, is no longer incorrectly set to be undead. Just kind of smelled bad. Wasn't actually a zombie. And 2 levers now properly unlock in Grand Theft Arion after defeating all of the enemies. The Baylor will no longer occasionally T-pose. The hireling vendor Caracol in Moorgrave University Upper Commons is going to have hirelings of the proper level. Right now, I believe it's 14 to 16. Or something like that, instead of the appropriate level hirelings for the quests. The Gilded Warforged Owl and Tiny Flameskull will now properly accept cosmetics. I assume that means they can get hats. The Gilded Warforged Owl Pet Tricks will also no longer have the improper pet reference in their text descriptions. So, smaller patch for next week, August 30th. We do have a follow-up patch set as well. That'll be update 61.1. Now, update 61.1 is actually a little bit more significant. So I'm going to change cams here and get that back up on the screen. At least I will if I can do it right. Okay, here we go. Alright, so this got a preview this week on Lamania. This actually ended about an hour or so ago on the Lamania public preview server. We previewed the raid for the first time. And it's been a lot of fun. I don't know if you got the chance to watch it, but there was a multi-stream of the new raid on Wednesday evening, like 7 p.m. Eastern. At 8 o'clock, we did a hangout on Lamania, just to do some Q&A and chat. Thanks for everyone who showed up for that. But we have a raid that got previewed this week on Lamania. It's got a temp name. This isn't going to be its actual name, most likely. The temp name is Let's Not Stand on Ceremony. It's a little wordy. doesn't quite have the ring I think we're looking for. So we'll probably end up giving the raid a proper name prior to release. But that's what it was called this week on Lamania, so that's what we're using in the text here. And it's connected to Vecna Unleashed. And we also have a balance refresh that I will get to in just a little bit, but I would mention that we are also fixing some additional undead not being damaged by healing in the U61 pack. We've created a path over by the tavern in Upper Moorgrave where you can ride your steed, your mount, through the tavern without getting unmounted. It's basically the away side of the... Well, I could show you in a minute, but it's like the away side of the walkway, that half of it. If you're on that half, you won't get dismounted. If you're on the tavern half, then you will. But this lets you get kind of through there if you're not looking to stop at the tavern, nor be dismounted. Unequipping a glamored or cosmetic bow is no longer going to break your animations and combat style. We fixed an issue with Electrocution and Stormsinger with its tooltip text. The correct maximum targets have been assigned for freedom of movement, mass, and true seeing mass. We have fixed a bug where bonus DCs for Quivering Palm were +2 per stack instead of +4. In the quest Evil We Know, we fixed an issue with Kexalt, the Sahaugen mini-boss. You can go through him now when he's defeated, in case he's in a door or something. And then all the doppelgangers are now being properly called devout doppelgangers, as they should be. We've got a couple monster manual fixes in Update 61, Patch 1 as well. But the other bit we've got in Update 61, Patch 1 that I wanted to take a minute to talk to you a little bit about is this. We've been able to do another round of relative balance work. This is smaller stuff, not big overhauls, but it's things that we can get done here in a relatively short fashion. So we're pushing out number 2 of that here in just a little bit. Swashbuckler, the action point cost of Double Strike will be reduced to 1 AP a rank. Archmage, damage dice SLAs is being increased. They'll now scale with the highest of all your spell schools. Energy, the Scholar spell point cost increase is increasing to 100 at 3rd rank. Clearly we need to do a little bit of grammatical typo fixing on this one. The Harper is increasing its universal increase universal to match 1. I'm not quite sure what that means in that one. I'll have to get back with Torque and say, what do you mean increase universal to match 1 MP RP? Harper Leadership is now has its proper minimum level. Tier 5 SLAs and Sorcerer are going to scale with Evocation and Conjuration. Vistani, fan of knives, will break breakables. That's nice. Frenzy Berserker, Power Rage is being reduced to 1 action point a rank. Ninja Spy, Diversion will grant +5 Assassinate DC when active. Shadow double Tier 5 will now grant +5 Assassinate. Crippling Strike, Tier 5 now grants +3 to Assassinate DCs. The Critical Multiplier in Core 20 moves to Core 18. Flashbang and Touch of Death will now factor into Assassinate bonuses. Poison Exploits now scales with the higher of your melee or ranged power. Deadly Exploits is now fixed. It's 1 rank as 2 action points, causes your Poison Exploit to deal double damage, and scales with the higher of melee ranged power. Over in War Priest, War Soul, Divine Vessel is now just Cleave. Falconry, Practice Accuracy now as a 3rd rank. Nature's Protector, Rage of the Beast, Primal Beast, and Enduring Beast now have their 3rd ranks. And Battle Engineer is getting a Critical Multiplier, the one that's in Core 20, will be moving to Core 12. And this is going live with the raid. Currently, we have Update 61, Patch 1 set for middle of September. We'll see where we end up there. But that's the rough plan, is to release the raid and a couple of other fixes along with it here in mid-September. Also, the raid's going to be getting a preview next week as well. Let me double check to make sure that I'm correct about that. Yes, we're doing a second preview of the raid on Lamania for next week as well. Otherwise, in terms of news, I think we mostly just have bonus days happening this weekend. It's Double Daily Dice XP through August 27th. I mentioned here in the near future I'd expect to have Sev visit the stream. That's one of the things that we've been working on here. We'll talk chatting about kind of hallway style chatter here in recent weeks. So I'd expect to see Sev join us here sometime in the next, let's say, month on Fridays at 4. So that, I think, is mostly what we have for news. If I've got more, I can't really think of it right now. So perhaps hit me up with some questions if you want to, and we'll see what we can do for that. Will there be more raid gears in the next preview? I am not sure if we are having additional gear added to the raid, or if what you saw this week on Lamania is the list. I would expect to see, like usual, some tweaks to it perhaps, but I don't know the answer to that question. I need to check with Steel Star or someone. How difficult is it for the devs to alter enhancement trees? I think it depends a lot as to what you're doing. Clearly moving something from one tier to another is easier than reworking an effect inside of the game. Really just kind of depends as to what it is. But in general, you know, they're made to be fairly robust and changeable and adjustable and fixable in the future. So it all kind of depends. But in general, I would say not necessarily difficult, perhaps time-consuming. Druid's Fire, I don't know what you're asking. What do you mean about rings in the other game? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Any plans to put the new expansion's full soundtrack on YouTube? Yes. I have a whole bunch of soundtrack work to get to, especially on the DDO side. I'm getting caught up on the Lord of the Rings side this summer, and I would like to get pretty much everything I can get out on the DDO side after that, up to and including Vecna Unleashed. So yes, I don't know when. Let's say by the end of the year. Sounds like a pretty good timeline. Can we have some way... Can we someday get some way to tell if a chest has named loot in it or not? You should open it. That's a great way to find out if a chest has named loot or not, is by opening it. I don't know that we'd want to... Because it is random gen, right? So I think if we had some kind of symbol as like, this is named loot or not, then people might use that to min-max chest ransack, I would think. But... Alright. Yeah, I don't know. Potentially we could do something like that, but I haven't really heard of any plans to adjust to sort of be like, yes, this is the chest you want. No, this is the chest you don't. I'm over on Orion, and I'm going to run some quests here for the rest of the show here today. And I'm just showing off the line of Brookvale. You can... Actually, that's the general vendor. That's the wrong one. I'm just going to remind you that Steps, Obelisk. Oh, hey, it's you again. Has Shining Reliquaries that you can trade things you don't want for things you do. So, I think I must have my sound down. Yes. There we go. So I think I've kind of burned through the news segment in just a few minutes here today. So if this is not of interest to you watching me play the actual games, then maybe don't. But I'm just going to be hanging out here for the next 45 minutes, running some quests, and having some fun, hopefully, with you. swap cameras real quick. Will I do a thing? Oh, right, yeah, I'll show you that horse path here. Let me, I'll get to that in just a second here. When will we get the Voodoo Spice sitcom quest line? I don't know, but that sounds like a great idea. I am supportive of a sitcom. I don't know about the canned laughter. Why is this? There we go. Oh, I know why it sounds weird. My headphones aren't plugged in. It's like, why am I not hearing the game like I ought? Okay, so on Lamania here, this is not on Lamania, this is on the live game worlds, but this week's preview on Lamania, this path, basically this half right here, see where I'm being dismounted? You won't be after that gets fixed. If you're on this side, you still will be, because you're real close to the tavern and can speak to the NPC and things. But over on this side, this half the path is going to be open. And you're seeing the reason why we're making this change, because it's kind of disruptive to have you dismounted and remounted all the time like that. Oh, do I want to try a lead or not? I'm going to be a wimp on the stream because it's Friday and I want to. So the projected go-live date for the raid is mid-September currently. We'll see where we end up. You know, that's not me announcing a release date. This is just a target date for us at this point. But roughly mid-September is when I'd expect to see the
Tower of Orion looms ahead.
New raid go
polished white stone
to the live
exterior
worlds.
Gleaming in the night sky. Your informant, Alfred Rourke, waits for you before the stone gate. He silently beckons to you. Alfred says that the Inkwell of Orion is locked up somewhere on the top floor of the tower. He advises you to stay out of sight of the guards while you search. Remaining hidden will make it easier to search for the Inkwell. Climbing up above the guards will give you a place to hide. By using the checkpoints you will find up in the rafters, you can stay above and out of sight. Inside this courtyard, you find a small vent high atop a trellis. Surely it must lead inside the tower.
So let me know what's been your experience with Vecna Unleashed so far. If you're digging it, let me know. Have you been practicing the raid? Did you get a chance to look at it here on Lamania this week? Have you seen the streams? Yeah, I think, you know, hopefully all of the major bugs should be fixed after next Wednesday's patch. You know, some of the chest things and that was mentioned. If we have things left over after that, I'm pretty sure we'd love to know more about what your experience has been. Because we do have that 61.1 coming up as well. And that's got a few bits in it too, but...
You find a room containing a service elevator leading to the upper level. The elevator takes you to a dark chamber full of machinery, likely in the back halls of the upper floor. To one side, you spot a small door through which you can hear the low rumble of voices. But first things first, find a way to avoid confrontation. You open this grate into a cramped vent.
I hope I'm not going to be running out of things to talk about here on the show. I'm a little on the quiet side. I've been racking my brain. It's like, what should I actually mention? All my thoughts are generally off topic at the moment.
From the vent and find yourself above a large room decorated as an office space.
I myself am heading out of town this weekend. I'm going to a retro games convention, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out. It's a retro games convention in Connecticut. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Retro World Expo. It's not something that, you know, has anything to do with DDO or SSG. It just has to do with my crazy obsession with collecting Atari cards as much as anything. But it's a good time, and I'm going to be meeting a couple of podcasters and content makers. I don't know if you know this guy by the name of Jeremy Parrish. Kind of used to be with 1UP and then still with Retronauts. Working with limited run games, does a lot of like the NES guides and things like that. Real cool dude. Really great kind of archivist, I suppose I would say. Has a really cool way of presenting information. I really like the content that Jeremy Parrish makes. And I'm looking forward to meeting him for the first time ever here at the Retro World Expo. I'm also going to be attending like a session about the toy history of Nintendo and Sega prior to them getting into video games and things like that. So it should be a really good time. I'm looking forward to it. And that's happening this weekend. Actually, I just went in a big circle there, didn't I? I did! I did go in a big circle there. Well, that was useless. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm showing off my elite gaming skills.
You startle a group of mages silently reading in the library. They eye you with quiet suspicion.
Alright, so I want to... Where do I want to go? Can I go up that way? No, not yet. I need to... What do I need to do? Oh, let me think. Thinking out loud here. Oh, I remember, I think. A lot of cards and gambling machines. They did do some of that, but they did actually quite a bit more than that as well.
Alarm rings out. Intruders, deploying reinforcements.
I think you'd be surprised just how much crazy stuff got released by video game companies before they were video game companies.
Your eyes follow the pillars flanking the walls upward and find a small vent fixed into the stone. A murmur of voices rises from further down the hall. A configuration of light beams blocks your path. They hum with magical energy.
Actually, have not gone to this convention
You find a small
since
silver
maybe the
key
first or
atop
second
this
year it
dusty
was
cabinet.
there. But I remember the year, the one time I went, they had a whole ton of Atari stuff, which is part of why I'm going this year, because if you know, I'm a big Atari 2600 collector. For those who don't know what I do when I'm not doing DDO stuff, and things have gotten kind of
Metal
rough on
grate
that
creaks
front
open
in
as
recent
you slot
years.
the key into its
It,
lock.
I guess it's maybe not too surprising that things have kind of moved on to eBay and price charting and all the rest, and so your prices are higher, availability is less, and you're getting pretty much the same thing, same price everywhere. So finding the old like flea market deals and that I used to do is proving quite a bit more
At its
difficult
base
than
is
it
a
used to
dim
be.
purple crystal, matching the crystal
So I'm
marking the
hoping
vent
to
in the
get
lock.
some cool scores here on
Two
this
other
convention
levers
this
are
time.
fixed against the back wall.
But we shall see. We shall see. Well, I remember, I like to say, this was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I picked up a library-style case for Atari games, full of Atari games for like $10. You're never gonna find that these days. It'll be 50 if nothing. So. It's true, and then for someone who mentioned in chat, Atari this week actually announced they're bringing back the old school Atari 2600. They've come up with a system on a chip version of it that they're going to be selling here later this year that actually takes old 2600 and Atari 7800 cards, and it's called the 2600 Plus. It'll be really curious. I don't know that we've had a game company re-release a classic console that actually uses the old physical cards with a modern HDMI. They've kind of gone for other sorts of things. We'll see how this goes, whether it actually rejuvenates or changes sort of how people collect that stuff. I don't think it really will, but we'll see. We'll see.
The beam of light from the mirror strikes its target, unlocking the blue lever.
I'm going to do this the I don't know what I'm doing way. There is a way to actually solve this puzzle using a guide that you get inside of the quest. But I'm just going to try to unlock it the old-fashioned way of just hitting things until it starts working and hope for the best. Hopefully this will work. Yeah.
The glowing tiles dim.
Nice. That's what I was hoping for.
Lever. The light beams guarding the lever sputter to a stop.
Not going... I will get back on topic here in the future, but since someone's asking, part of the reason they're doing this 2600 thing is they are actually re-releasing old school Atari carts in a new style. This is one I picked up as part of a bundle, 10-set bundle, and this title bit on the top lights up with an LED light. And since they're getting back into the business of selling physical carts, they want to have a new thing that people can use it in. You know, they make a little money from and such. So. But it's interesting. I don't know that we've ever actually had really something exactly like this happen in video games before, especially given the age. You know I'm down. You know I've got one coming.
crawl through this small vent and find yourself in the back hall of the Towers of Retreat.
Someone, I promise, you're a bad influence on me. Just so you know, I can talk about it like old video games forever. But I will stop because that is not appropriate for the stream. In a second, which is Axel, you had mentioned you've been playing the new Breakout. I haven't looked in a year at this point, but at one point I was in the top 10 of the leaderboards, the global leaderboards on that one. Mockduck was in the top 10
the door
globally
leads
for
to
that.
A room littered with open books and alchemical tools. Evidence of the mage's experiments line the walls.
I was hoping maybe some DDO players might ping me about being at Retro, the Retro Expo. You know, I was like, well, maybe I could throw in a few shirts or something somewhere, but I never did hear back from anyone. So, if I see you, sorry, I don't have any swag. Well, you can get game records in DDO, can't you? I mean, we've got, besides just our first completions in that, we've got the hardcore leaderboards, and I would love to see additional leaderboards. I don't, you know, there was a time back in the day, if you remember way back in DDO's history, we had challenge leaderboards for those little challenges we did. But we kind of, I don't know, they've been gone a long time now. But I'd love to see us do something if it was possible in the future. That'd be really cool. What am I doing? Okay, what am I doing? Okay, I know what I'm doing now. That one. Which way do you usually solve these puzzles? Do you them end to the start, or do you tend to go the other way around? feel like I'm not doing this right, though. What am I doing wrong? Go.
The last rune lights up. Your reward is now within reach.
You break first link from the start and then start from the end. In case of traps, sure, but there's no traps on this one, so. I guess I'd be curious to see what, I mean, how would you see a leaderboard sort of high score system working in DDO? Would it be just like a permanent favor system? Basically take what we do for the hardcore leaderboards and just have them continue on an ongoing basis like that? Or do you see it as something else, perhaps? Work in some other way? Yeah, I always just go end to start, because that tends to be how mentally I sort of picture it. But as you saw, there are a lot of times I start at the end, and then I kind of swap halfway through to be like, alright, now how do I meet up to this point? And then if that doesn't work, then what else do I need to do?
The last of the cranium rats twitches and falls still. You pull this lever and hear a door groaning open in the distance.
Okay. Ooh, a death leaderboard. Now I might top that one. That's a leaderboard I can top. Is the number of deaths in game, maybe, or not? Maybe we would find out that I'm actually not as death prone as people like to tell me I am. Maybe I'm just average. Maybe I'm mid.
Another elevator stands before you at the end of this hallway, leading up to the top floor. The Inkwell of Orion must be somewhere up above.
So I don't actually need to do this, do I? It's the alternate path.
You exit the elevator to the top floor of the tower.
You, soldier.
The Inkwell of Orient.
I do
must be
believe that
close
those two puzzles in the previous room get fixed where you couldn't solve the puzzle but the last corner piece isn't aligned correctly, or you could. So if you notice just right now, those last pieces were aligned just fine. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. I think that was just sort of a one-off, though. I have not consistently seen those pieces be misaligned, just really that one time. But I will look into it.
Various antiquities and powerful magical artifacts are stored inside this room. Yet the Inkwell of Orient does not seem to be here with them.
Yeah, it'd be good to know kind of what frequency it's... You can still complete it, so that's the good thing, but what's being talked about is in that last puzzle, a couple of the times I've seen the piece that hooks up to the final bit is off a line. Like it's literally just flipped 90 degrees, even though the actual directionality of it is correct. It's just not displaying correctly. Not quite sure what to make of that.
The last cultist slumps at your feet. You open the door to find a mass of scarlet light beams that divide the room into a maze.
I like this laser maze. I'm surprised we haven't actually done this like this before. So speaking of completely on topic things to both Dungeons & Dragons Online and this live stream, I was thinking about the incredible 1998 cinematic masterpiece trucker movie called Black Dog, starring Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf the other day, as you do. And I truly think that it's one of the finest good-bad movies of the 90s. It's the Roadhouse of the 90s. Although maybe Roadhouse is actually good, I don't know. But that movie's amazing. Patrick Swayze plays a trucker who gave up the trucking life after seeing the Black Dog.
Beyond stands your final goal, the Inkwell.
And the Black Dog is a thing that once truckers have been on the road too long, middle of the night,
and into this chamber.
having a hard time seeing, the Black Dog shows up, they crash their rig and maybe take someone with them in a awful fatal car accident or something like that. So he gave up the trucker life, even though he's the best trucker in existence. Until Meatloaf convinces him to smuggle a bunch of weapons. He didn't know there were weapons at the time. One last job off the books to save his family from bankruptcy. And then, of course, eventually Meatloaf comes after him and things go from there. But it's an incredible film from 1998, with all the kind of trucker drama that you might expect to see and a movie called Black Dog starring Patrick Swayze with Meatloaf and Randy Travis in it. Randy Travis plays his, they do this thing in the movie where they actually put 3 people inside of the truck so that they can have conversations and drama and other things like that. And Randy Travis is one of them who's tagged to go along with him to make sure that he does it right. It's pretty fantastic. It's one of my favorite bad movies of all time. And I was thinking about it just the other day. And I was like, more people need to know how great this bad movie is. Black Dog from 1998. I really do recommend that you spend all weekend watching it over and over again. That surely wouldn't drive you insane. I don't want to give out too many spoilers or anything. There's a really great scene at a way station, for example. They were like, well, where can we have our action set pieces? What are good trucker action set pieces? I mean, of course you got the truck stop and the rest stop, but you gotta have a way station scene as well, and they totally deliver.
The rock and its companions fall to the ground and turn to ash, with the Guardians gone. You carefully tuck the Inkwell of Orion into your pack. Now to escape the tower before anyone notices its absence.
Could make a quest list to see what quests are most popular and done by the most people in hardcore. That would be good advice for newcomers. I could see that. Having some kind of tally of... I assume you mean like public tally of who's running what?
Ready to return to Morgrave University and deal with the Codex once.
Well, this character doesn't need wild empathy charges, but that's cool. I like the names that we gave him. I've got a kitty that wants to go outside and is bothering me, so let's put the kitty on stream here. Yeah, kitty will hate this. Yeah, well, that's what you get from yelling at me for the last 5 minutes by my knee. Yep. This isn't what I wanted at all. You're supposed to be taking me outside, she says. And I will. Just not yet. It'll be like 10 minutes. Come on, you can wait for 10 minutes. It is a big kitty. Lizzie is a big kitty. An old, part of a... I mean, she's like 15-ish years old now. She came from my mom's homestead in far northern Minnesota, and so she's used to
the foundations of Morgrave University's tower to deal with the Codex of the Infinite Plane.
She was born in cold winter weather. I wanted to call this out, by the way. Notice what happens if you break this window? Look at that NPC. I did earlier, in the last stream. Oh, for some reason it's not working this time. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Why? Why did you break my window? How good is that? Very good is the answer.
You apply the magical ink to the codex. The massive tome suddenly begins to shudder and shake. Then the book settles into an eerie silence. But before you can congratulate yourself on your success, a chilling laugh fills the room. Vecna has arrived. The Codex. There was always something calling to me in this world. And now it is within my grasp. Thank you, hero, for leading me to it. Its power is exactly what I require for my plans. You've even robbed the Codex of its troublesome sentience, so it can no longer resist or evade me. In return for this service, I offer some advice. Flee this tower immediately. My underlings are conducting a ritual that will bring it crumbling to the ground within minutes. Think of Morgrave's destruction as a message to this arrogant city. Vecna has arrived. The Codex vanishes. The ethereal form of Vecna remains, curious to see how you react. The answer is obvious. Countless people in the University Tower will die if you don't act now. You must stop the ritual. A sulfurous stench fills the hall. A massive demon steps through the portal. Balor eyes you skeptically.
Freedom! I have more pressing business above. Minions, deal with this!
The portal blocking your path fades away.
Oh, you know, I actually did think of something else that I could mention here. So, it was brought up, I saw a comment on the forums that seemed to allude that this week's free Guild Renown coupon was perhaps some kind of make-good for the issue we saw last week where specifically level 200 guilds found themselves level 199 due to guild decay after a patch. We haven't forgotten about you, we just haven't, due to just other things happening this week, and people in some cases being around or less around, we haven't been able to formally schedule like a guild boost or something like that. But it's on our list of things to do. But I saw a comment this week that said, really, we lost 400,000 guild renown as a level 200 guild, and you're only giving us a free lesser guild elixir to make good for it? No, is the answer to that. That was a complete coincidence that the free coupon this week is a guild elixir. It just so happened that it is this week after we had said we were looking into the possibility of maybe doing something like a weekend boost to help folks get back to level 200. Now, let's be real here. We're not talking about some... unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe in general we are talking about anything really all that impactful. It's a lot of renown that you lost, but you'll get back there real quick. And you really should be able to basically do everything you were already able to do. So we're not, you know, it's not like there's an emergency necessarily to get it done, but we do want to help. And so I would expect to see a guild boost a little more substantive than a lesser guild renown elixir happen at some point here in the coming weeks.
Falls. The portal slams shut. You can now access the lower university stairway.
I am actually not going to have time to run this whole quest here, so I don't know exactly why I started it, but that's fine. I'll finish it up some other time here on stream. I've got a couple minutes left, though. Just a reminder, we are targeting a patch for next week, along with another raid preview on Lamania. So if you've seen the raid the first time, or if you haven't, good opportunity to check to see what has been done, and perhaps, or run it for the first time if you need to. How soon can we get glamours of unnamed docents corrected? I don't know. So, there's a problem in general with random loot and mirrors of glamoring, where it's giving you what it's supposed to, it's just what it's supposed to is not what your expectation is in regards to what it should be glamoring. And by that I mean it is technically succeeding in the job of taking, like, the base APR and then mirroring it. It's just that in some cases, the base APR is not what's displayed. So, it's a bug that, rather than systemically across all docents, generally needs to be done on an individual item basis, if I am thinking correctly. So what we would really need is what was the random gen item, screenshot of what it looked like before the mirror, screenshot of what it looks like after the mirror, and then a list of the items that the docent itself contained, so that we could try to recreate that random gen, or at least maybe figure out, or actually I think we also need a timestamp, right? That might be the other way. Not super quick and easy, in other words. But we'll see. Yeah. So it's only showing the overlay, not showing the base. That's right. It's tricky. I wouldn't expect to fix anytime soon, I'm sorry to say.
A portal materializes, releasing a swarm of dredges.
I also am not sure about the augments on Artificer Iron Defenders. I would need to know specifically more about, like, what's the bug we're talking about here. In what way are they bugged? I need to refresh my memory on that. I would imagine, just in general, an augment will have, oops, shit. Always do that. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head what you're talking about in regards to augments there. Sorry. I'm sure I'll be like, oh yeah, right, that bug, but I can't think of it right now. Well, we are actually at 5 o'clock. And I have to head out, because I have got a drive ahead of me shortly. And I have to get our social media scheduled here, so I think I'm going to wrap up the show at this point. Thank you so much for watching Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. I'll be back next week with more post-patch, the latest news and gaming and what have you. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.